Sure, this is always an exciting time of year for college football coaches, and it's something that our coaches have been working on for some time, and it's fun to see this day kind of come to all together when we've been working on a lot of these kids for as long as a year. First and foremost, I feel like our coaches did an outstanding job of recognizing some quality student athletes, and we've got a lot of good football players on our list, but all these kids are really good student athletes that understand they're coming to Pittsburgh State University to get their degree first. And so we had a lot of people on this campus that really helped us out in the recruiting process. And we always feel like if we can just get them to Pittsburgh and get them to campus, that we have a great chance of recruiting them. And it was, again, our faculty and a lot of people, helped us achieve what we're after. So again, we're well represented locally with some kids. It's probably the first time in a long time we've had somebody from Pittsburgh High, Frontenac, and Colgan all at the same time. And we got somebody, we got a young man from Carl Junction, from Webb City, from Caney, from Humboldt. So we're well represented locally. And then Kansas City is always is a big recruiting area for the MIAA, and we've got around 11 or 12 or 13 kids from the Kansas City area, which is always an area that we want to recruit very well. And then all the way from St. Louis to Lawton, Oklahoma. And Lawton, Oklahoma is an area that Coach Weimers was able to get into that is a place that's always had some great athletes that we were able to get a couple of young men out of that area.
Coach, any areas in particular that you were really looking to fill position-wise?
Basically, we look to try to get the best possible football players we can get first. But the neat thing is we've got somebody at every position, including a kicker, who's a kicker and a punter, and also another young man that's a punter. But we've got we got 6 O linemen, 6 D linemen, 6 or 7 defensive backs, 4 or 5 linebackers. We decided we were only going to go after one running back, and of course Keenan's our guy there from Carl Junction, and we're limited on how many receivers we took just because of the number of receivers on our roster, but and then one quarterback in Levi Wyrick from Caney. And so it was kind of a unique class because we actually got somebody at every position, which sometimes that's hard to do.
Coach, can you talk about hitting the local? You got Colgan, Frontenac, Humboldt, Carl Junction. Talk about those boys that you've seen here locally and how you're able to get them to come to Pitt.
Well, first of all, I think it's always important to try to get the best kids locally, and there's a lot of kids in the area that grow up coming to Pittsburgh State games that are excited about the Gorillas, and so we want that to be a very, very positive situation for local kids to want to come to Pittsburgh State. And so it's exciting going out and watching on Thursdays and Friday nights and seeing all these local kids and seeing we've had some of them in camp before, and it's just a kind of a neat thing to sign somebody that grew up wanting to be Gorillas all their life.
How much of a beast is Austin Seward as a punter?
Well, he's a good punter. He's a good athlete, and losing our kicker and our punter last year, we obviously needed some help in those areas, and I got Austin Seward coming as the possible punter, and then Jared Vincent, who was somebody that we had been after for a while, and it took us kind of till the very end to get him convinced to come, but he's a young man that's kicked a 55-yard field goal in a game. So again, really quality athlete as a kicker and a punter.
Sherrick's going to be reunited with one of his fellow classmates, Matt McGee. How special is that to get those two guys back together? They're familiar and what they entail?
It's interesting with the ability to use huddle and evaluate all the kids across the area. We watched a lot of running backs, and we kind of decided that we're going to go after one running back, And you compare all these young men from all over, and Keenan just really stuck out as the guy. And why would we not recruit somebody, locally that wants to be a gorilla and is excited about it, and just felt like he'd be a great fit for us. And I'm sure Matt's excited about it, him joining us as well.
Colleen.
Coach, could you talked about getting Vincent to commit after a while. Could you talk a little bit about the process that you and the rest of your staff go through when it comes to making these recruits that are on the line sign up for Pitt State?
Well, Jared Vincent's he's a great example of a young man that we got, Coach Weimer's got him talked into coming to a game. A lot of times, there are recruits that still haven't been to a game, even though we try to get them here throughout the year, and feel like game day atmosphere is awesome here. So Jared is one that came to one game and then ended up coming to another game during the season, and just had a lot of interest in us early on, but also had a lot of people contacting him and a lot of people recruiting him. So, it was I know it wasn't an easy decision for him, but I think early on he liked Pittsburgh State. So, getting him here on game day was extremely important. But I walk in the office today and we've got coaches online looking at recruits for next year. So that's kind of when the process starts, is today for next year. So, sometimes it takes a little time, and it's in Division II. It's a little tougher than other levels because everything happens in December and January. I mean, we make phone calls throughout the season and do all that, but we don't have in-person contact as far as official visits until December and January, and so everything happens really fast here at the end.
You talked about trying to get athletes in to watch you guys play some games. How does the atmosphere here, along with the fan base and the success of the program, how does that help your guys' recruitment?
Oh, it's outstanding. I mean, everybody understands, and a lot of young men dream of growing up and being a Division I football player. But when they come on campus and see what it's like, and see the quality of football played in the MIAA, and then see what the game day atmosphere is here at Pittsburgh State, you hear it. We've heard it before. This is like a Division I program. It's just not quite as big, and we feel like there are a lot of things that we do game day that are better than some of the lower level Division I schools. So, it's easy. Pittsburgh State University is an easy sell because we have such quality in our academic programs, and the quality is there. So game day experience is top notch, and getting them on campus and getting them excited is not that difficult. It's just getting them here the very first time.
Coach, you have two new linebackers coming, Brett McDonald from Lamar and Nate Brown from Colgan. How does that help with your linebackers?
Well, Brett's a young man that played a lot of different positions at Lamar. He did a lot of things for them, and we listed him as a linebacker, even though he played a little bit more safety than he did linebacker, but we kind of project him as a linebacker. But he's a 6'2" to 6'3", 215-pound guy that can run and tackle. So we think he's a great addition. And then of course Nate Brown, he's hometown favorite around here, and everybody likes his abilities and what he can do. And then Jacob Carpenter, another linebacker from Humboldt, that we were fortunate to have a couple young coaches, Zach Rampy and Nate Dreiling, be there for a little while. That gave us a lot of insight on Jacob, on how hard he worked and some of the things he did, and then I got to watch him live when he played Colgan, and he's a guy that can do a lot of things, and I think he's all in as a gorilla right now.
Pulling players from Webb City and Lamar, Drake Humphrey, Brett McDonald, they're players that understand what it takes to go for a state title. They've done it. Is that the type of attitude that you really look for in a player? Yeah,
obviously I think that getting young men from quality programs like Lamar and Webb City is always important. It's one of the first places we're going to go when we start to recruit. And of course, both coaches are Pittsburgh State graduates, which always helps, and are just doing things the right way. And so we'd like to try to get somebody from there every year if we could. And Drake Humphrey's actually graduated early, so he's actually going through spring with us right now.
How's he looking?
He's doing good. He shows us that those Webb City guys know how to work hard.
How's that transition for some of these to the college atmosphere?
it's sometimes it's tough initially, but I think you know, for Drake being close and you know, being able to go home on the weekend if he needed to or whatever, I think it makes it a lot that much easier. But the transition's tough for an 18-year-old into college, and then have to walk on the field and know that somebody's going to physically try to get after you a little bit. That's a tough thing, but. We were in a situation where he could come early, and he and his family knew it would be a very good benefit for him to come now, so it's worked out well.
What was your recruiting speech that you gave this year with the new facility that you had in place that was being built?
Well, that's the key, is I'm not a very good speaker, so I didn't have to give a speech. All we have to do is walk in there, and you walk in, and you know, it's fun to see the reactions from everyone, and you know, we're not the first Division II school in America to have an indoor facility, but boy, it's really, really nice. And so for being able to walk young men in there and show what we have, and then even though it's under construction, it's, you know, it's you can see how big the weight room's going to be, and where the locker room is and everything. So it's very exciting for young athletes.
Did that help a ton on recruiting this year?
I think so. You know, I think it did. I think there's you know, a couple young men on our list that, you know, had some opportunities at some FCS schools that could have gone there, and this was a better fit because of a lot of reasons, academically and for what they were looking for athletically. But I don't think there's any question that the facilities helped.
You talked about a majority of your incoming class, generally they redshirt. What does that say about the young men that you recruit, that they're willing to go through that, sit out basically a year, so that way they end up getting their opportunity, chance to sit up for the rows?
Well, I think most of them have done their research, and they know in most quality programs nowadays, most of them and the majority of them are going to redshirt. That's just the way it is, and you know, and I think moms especially understand really quickly, because they want their son to be physically ready to be able to go out there, and you know, as I talked earlier, the quality of the game in the MIAA is very, very high, and so you know, we want to make sure that we're putting people out there that are both physically you know, and mentally ready to go.
And then what are the jobs of some of the existing players, leaders, likewise? How do they help transition your new recruiting class year after year?
Well, you know, on the recruiting visit, we always assign a host, and obviously our hosts do a very, very good job of making sure that they get them around a lot of our players and make sure that they see what kind of quality student athletes that we already have on our roster. And then the other thing that we do that's very helpful is we do a player-parent panel where we have usually anywhere from 3 to 5 of our players that will sit and visit without any of our coaches around, and the parents can ask them any questions they want about our program, how they're treated, you know, how we coach them, you know, what the time expectations are, you know, show them that this is important, and they've got to make sure they understand they got to go to study hall, and they've got to be on time for practice and all those types of things. So the player parent with our student athletes, the panel that we do on their official visits, has been very beneficial.
Feel like a breath of fresh air, like a weight's lifted off your shoulders after today?
You know, you always worry that you've got everybody committed, and everybody always calls even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and says, "Hey, I heard you signed so and so." Well, we haven't signed anybody until today. Nothing's final until today, and we've had those calls before where somebody calls, and I've had a call on the day of signing date 10, 12 years ago where a young man called us and said he wasn't going to commit because he was going to go to Division I school that he had never even visited, but because of the academic field, and they offered him. You know, they called the last second because they lost somebody, and then they called him, and then he was gone. So being able to get everybody signed that you had committed, and we were able to do that today, you do give a sigh of relief, because you worry about those kind of things happening.
How many more walk-ons do you usually accept?
We're not sure yet. It kind of depends on kind of how things work out here the next few weeks, and then also you know, how many we anticipate on bringing back and all that. So, you know, we have to try to keep our numbers down. Having enough walk-ons is not a problem. There's plenty of young men that would like to. We just have to be, cautious about how many we get.